Are you volunteering?
To be arranged.
The Muscatine City Council will come to order. Fran, would you do a roll call, please?
Councilmembers Raywalt,
Present.
Fitzgerald,
Present.
Natvig, Shahade,
Present.
Bynum,
Present.
Phillips, Spread,
Present.
5 present and 2 absent, Your Honor.
Very good. Folks, would you rise and join me in our Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. If there's anyone in council chambers that has an item or an issue they want to discuss with council tonight that's not included on tonight's agenda, now would be the time to come to the podium. Unless, if you're commenting about something that's included on tonight's agenda, Andrew.
You'll probably want to wait until the item comes up.
Okay.
Item 11A, I think.
1-8.
Okay, we'll move on. Item number 5.
4-6.
Following items are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes items 6A, items 8A through L, items 12A through F, and tonight's bills totaling $3,011,976.79?
So moved, Your Honor.
Sama, and a
Second.
second?
Second.
Second, Tom. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0.
Communication.
Okay, dropping down to item 11 from the city administrator. 11A, presented for city council's consideration is the second reading of an ordinance providing for the establishment of the Muscatine Riverview Reinvestment District pursuant to section 15J.4 of the Code of Iowa. The Riverview Reinvestment District Plan and application were approved by the Iowa Economic Development Authority, IEDA, on March 27, 2015. It is now necessary to establish the Riverview Reinvestment District, which will allow for the construction of a new hotel, the redevelopment of an existing building to serve as a conference and/or event center, and the construction of a new parking ramp. At this time, City Council is being asked to waive the rules and adopt this ordinance on the final reading. Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance as submitted and to direct for its publication as required by law?
So moved.
Mike?
Second.
Second, Bob. Any discussion? This is a roll call, beginning with Mike.
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Bob? Aye. Osama?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Motion carries 0. Item B, final reading of an ordinance adopting the municipal code of revised ordinances. Presented for City Council's consideration is the final reading of an ordinance adopting the municipal code of revised ordinances. There is a change to section 8-1-4 as follows. Existing buildings, section 101.4.7 is amended to read as follows. The provisions of Chapter 34 of the document entitled International Building Code 2012 edition shall apply to matters governing the repair, alteration, change of occupancy, and addition to and relocation of existing buildings. Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance on final reading and direct for its publication?
So moved, Your Honor.
Phil?
Second.
Second, Tom.
Comment.
Any discussion?
I think this is when he wants to speak.
Right. Okay, Andrew. Your name and address.
Andrew Anderson, 12217 West 4th Street, Muscatine, Iowa. This is
I'm a rental property owner in Muscatine, and I understand with some of the rental code changes, one of the real needs is to do things that would make sure that there's a good environment for tenants, that's safe, secure, code compliant, and also to have buildings that are looking good or assets to their neighborhoods. I'd also say that part of the objective, which I think we'd all agree on, is that rental property business owners would be able to continue to maintain properties and be profitable. There's a lot of misinformation about the things that are in this right now. I would, we're here now. I'm looking forward to having a lot of that cleared up. I would have liked to have had more of those questions answered beforehand, but I think we're here and we're past. So we would like to see, yes, we'll look forward to hearing, I guess, from Dave Gobin at the next Muscatine Landlord Association meeting and having a lot of those things cleared up. So thanks.
Anyone else, council?
Is there anything specifically that we could address that, for clarification, tonight's meeting, for
Microphone,
instance?
Andrew.
Probably not right here, but I think we'd have there would be more questions and more discussion. I think it would be sorted out through discussion, so, yeah.
I have a question for Dave here. If you can just elaborate a little bit on, from the ordinance, on what the excessive fees, use of the city services, what does that all entail, if you would?
Use of excessive city services is a new concept, but it's not one which we haven't practiced for many years in forms of nuisance complaints, fire calls, or police calls that are falsely called in or unnecessary. Currently, we charge for nuisance complaints because we have to usually come in. We actually allow the property owner to correct the situation, and if they don't, we have to go in and clean it up ourselves, and then we charge back those fees. In the case of police or fire, if there's excessive calls and such, and it's rare, but they do actually end up charging back to the alarm company or directly to the property owner, or even the tenants directly themselves, if they've called in way too many times and it's unnecessary. All we're doing is adopting all of those, that there's an accumulative amount where they've actually gone over, and we've suggested a certain number in the code that at that point we probably ought to do something. And I believe that there's a fee assessed at that point. What I will do is I'll coordinate with the fire chief and the police chief to make sure that we're not double charging, and they're not charging from their end and we're not charging from our end. But other than that, that's a tweak that we can change later. We don't have to do it tonight.
So what is the current fee right now, and what's the proposed fee for the next 3 years?
Well,
Not for
the
the...
current fee for the rental units?
Yes.
Okay. Currently, the property itself, no matter how many units, is a certificate of structural compliance. That's what's issued for each property right now. However, the city really, in order to do that properly, you have to have some engineering and things like that, checks, and we don't do that. What we what we are proposing is to change that from a certificate to an actual property license, or a license for the property. And that'll last the 3 years as well. That'll run concurrent with the way, that'll run in the same manner as these properties come into for renewal over the 3-year period that phases in. The second thing is that each unit currently has been charged $60 for 3 years for an inspection. It gives a 3-year window once one has passed, and we're suggesting that we want to go to an annual registration where we will do the first inspection. It'll be $30 a year, again phased in over 3 years, that we will charge the $30 plus we'll do the first year's inspection on that cycle, 3-year cycle. And we will ask the property owner to perform self-inspections, which they will sign each of the other 2 years. And that'll be part of the registration process each year. So we're able to keep involved with that property more than just showing up once every 3 years. That's basically the biggest changes of the two programs, the current versus the proposed.
And your first certificate, as you pointed out to me, there is zero cost.
Yeah, both the certificate and the license, as we go from one to the other, as they convert from one to the other, are still at no charge. We don't charge now, we're not going to charge going forward.
And you had a meeting with the landlord, head of the landlord of
I
Muscatine?
met with Steve Welke, the president of the, is he president or chair? President of the Landlord Association in Muscatine. And he asked the same questions that we're hearing tonight, and I answered them. And there's apparently a lot of rumor that we were only charging $60 for the property, no matter how many units. And also that there was another rumor going around that we were charging $100 a unit. So we've got a number of things to clear up, and I can do that by presenting directly to their associations, which Andrew has organized and helped me schedule that presentation to the current landlord association. But there are other property owners that are going to have questions too, and we can have those discussions.
When does that presentation take place, Dave?
15th,
Of this
June
month?
15th, yes.
And Steve was okay with the proposal that we have?
Yeah, once he understood it, it seemed like he was fine. In fact, we're adding a service to this where we are working with the police department that if a property owner wants to perform a background check, it's a simplified background check, but nonetheless one in which they want to apply to prospective tenants, we will work with the police department to do that. They'll work through our office, we'll submit it to the police department. That's an additional service that wasn't there before. And another one we're considering that we've got to work out some details on is potentially a credit check. That's a significant value to the property owners. And we can do it at a lower cost. I'm not saying we're going to do it for free, but we're going to do it at a lower cost because we have 3,000 rental units in the city, roughly, a little over that. And then they're just about broken up. About every year, 1,000 of them come due for renewal. So this is, like I said, this is a phased-in process, but we go to a credit check agency, and we can probably have a better deal with 1,000 units than any one individual association or property owner. So that's...
Andrew, you happy with the answers? Did that shed some light on what your concerns are? Some. Okay, that's good enough. Thank you.
Dave?
Yes.
Since this process has been going on for the approval of this code, have you had people standing in line waiting to have answers or ready to throw something at you that we can't do this, we can't do that?
I've not had one...
Been very quiet, has it
Yeah, I have not had one inquiry. Any inquiry I've had, I've been able to explain. And they seem to be fine with it. And I've not had anybody oppose it per se, the whole concept. And keep in mind, this is a larger code than just the rental side, but this seems to be what's sparking the interest right now. We can clear this up usually on a one-on-one or in a presentation kind of setting. And that seems to work very well when we quell the rumors.
So is
That's the way to do it.
this meeting on the 15th, is that going to be open to anyone that has rental units or only those that are member of the rental unit association?
I don't know who the guest list is, but
Well, I may be asking the wrong guy.
That would be, and it's for landlord association members, but it's open to anyone.
Okay.
And
Okay.
there's no reason we can't hold additional meetings as well.
that's right.
We can certainly set some up downstairs and do a presentation. And just to be clear, the process started back in September 11th of 14 with our initial presentation from Councilmember Boom from Davenport.
But you know that nothing ever hits the fan until it's right down to the bare nitty gritty.
Till the last minute, absolutely. And I did, and as Dave alluded to, that this is a little bit different tonight as well. You know, typically, when an ordinance is before the city council, we're talking about a particular slice, one piece of the puzzle. Tonight, this is a different process. We're adopting the entire city ordinance, code of ordinances. You can't pick and choose and pull out sections of it. We're adopting the entire portion. If we're not to do that, we'd have to start the entire process over again tonight. And I think, as Dave noted, that a lot of these questions and concerns can be dealt with on a one-on-one or in a meeting basis. And if people have got good ideas, we're always willing to listen. So.
Yeah. You know what?
An educational opportunity is warranted.
Well, it sounds like
Will meet
it.
a lot of needs, probably.
The other part of this is that if you don't like the law in Muscatine, you can always change it. But, so that's a real positive thing. Think of that on a positive way, because we're looking, as Greg said, and I concur, there's no reason why we don't find there's a problem with them that we can't fix it later. We'll bring it to you and fix it.
And that's how this whole process got started, with an idea in another community and how well it's working, and that's how this process gets started, so.
But any certain code could be amended, you know?
Absolutely.
That's what I'm
Okay, I
talking
mean,
about.
yeah, okay.
Exactly. No.
Starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, actually, after July 1st, the code's effective July 1st, and it's the entire code of ordinances that the council is adopting, not one particular piece. The whole code book. So it's a little different process than normal. You can't table it, you can't amend a section of it or tweak it in that fashion.
But after it's in.
After the fact, just like any other update.
Pick
Yep.
paragraph 3 of a article, whatever, and you can
Pick
go,
a
I don't
word.
like this.
You can pick a word,
then
a
you can-
paragraph, a
yeah.
section, a whole title if you choose to do so.
Just to be clear, the current practice, whatever you want to call the fee, we charge per unit,
Yes.
not per parcel, but per unit. And that represents no material change.
No
It's still a per unit charge.
It has always been a per unit charge, and if anybody's only paying on the property side, then they've been undercharged.
Okay, thank you.
And that will change.
Please let us know.
Sure.
Yeah, let us know that you have 5 units in there, not 4.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
I'm assuming that's it, council, for discussion?
Yep.
We have a motion and a second. This is a roll call vote, beginning with Phil.
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Bob? Aye. And Osama?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
I forgot who.
Okay, moving along to item C, presented for city council's consideration, is a resolution setting a public hearing for the Airport T-Hangar Connector Road project. Funding has been received from the Iowa Department of Transportation for this project. The engineer has completed the design work, and the project is ready to move forward to the bidding process. Prior to any formal action by city council, a public hearing is required. This hearing will be held Thursday, June 18th, 2015, at 7 p.m. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Tom?
Second.
And a second, Osama. Any discussion? A roll call, beginning with Tom.
Aye.
Bob? Aye. Osama?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
And Mike?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Item D, presented for city council's consideration is a request from the police department to approve a memorandum of agreement for the use of a Justice Assistant Grant, or JAG. The Muscatine County Drug Task Force will receive 20% of the grant award, and the remaining balance will be split equally between the police department and the Muscatine County Sheriff's Office. It is to be used for equipment purchases that are not included in the current department budget. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
I heard Phil over there, and Bob, was that you? Second, Bob. Any discussion?
Just a comment here to see the cooperation between the police department and Muscatine County Sheriff working together still, so
That was a commendation, correct?
that is.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Item E, presented for city council's consideration is a request to approve the purchase of a leaf box. One bid was received from Bonnell Industries of Dixon, Illinois, in the amount of $8,017. There is $12,000 budgeted for this purchase. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So move.
Bob?
Second.
Second, Tom. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Item F, presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve the purchase of a leaf vacuum loader. 3 bids were received with a low bid from Elliott Equipment in the amount of $26,716. There is $25,000 budgeted for this purchase. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
That was Phil, right?
Right.
Second?
Second.
Second, Mike. Any discussion?
We taking the offset from the leaf box to put it towards this one here to offset the budget.
One of the additional purchases has is significantly under, so.
Sure, yeah, Randy does a good job usually with that.
Usually?
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carries 5-0. Item G, presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve the purchase of a double-drum vibratory roll-on roller. 9 bids were received for this purchase. The lowest bid did not meet the city specifications. Therefore, staff is recommending the bid from Logan Contractor Supply of Bettendorf in the amount of $35,976.47 be approved. There is $45,000 budgeted for this purchase. Is there a motion to adopt the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Bill? Second. Tom, for the second. Any discussion?
Stay away from that one.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Item H, presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve the restriction of on-street parking at Plaza Place. To improve the safety of the Plaza Place intersection, the Traffic Committee is recommending the restriction of parking on the west side of Plaza Place back 136 feet from Colorado Street. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Tom?
Second.
Second, Bob. Any discussion?
I have a question. Is the speed limit going to continue to be 25 on that street? And why?
That's on Colorado.
Yeah, on Colorado Street. And while you at it, how about Cedar when it's done? Is it going to be 25? I'm just asking. Because I've been asked these questions, so.
First of all, you did notice that there was a considerable underrun on the ride-on vibratory roller.
Is that used for that street?
What the discussion has been, and we'll come back with a formal proposal to the City Council on Colorado Street, is to have 25 miles per hour from Park Avenue, basically down to Bandag Drive. And then from Bandag Drive down to University, we would see the increase going to 35 at that point.
Okay.
And we haven't really talked about much on Cedar Street yet until it gets done, but we'll start off with what it was and then determine whether or not we actually want to increase the speed or not. And at this particular time, Osama, I don't think that we're inclined to do that. So
Prior to Cedar Street, what was the speed limit there?
on
Prior to the construction of Cedar Street?
25.
35 is 35. There you go.
Now we have like
25 is just the-
three lanes and we scaling down, I don't know.
No, 25 is
But,
the
I mean,
construction speed.
And the
I've
school,
been asked that question, I said, with the construction the way it is right now is 25, but we don't know what's
Yeah,
going to
because
happen. Fair
construction,
enough.
right.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have any questions for
Mr.
Randy?
When's Cedar Street gonna be open?
Pardon me?
When will Cedar Street be open?
Well,
today. Don't commit
I
yourself.
anticipated that question tonight, Mike.
School starts in August, correct?
And I was thinking, is there a chance for, punishment or incentive response here? But it will be open tomorrow.
Oh, great, thank you.
Oh, really?
It will be open. Tomorrow lasts until 11:59 p.m., but it will be open tomorrow. And so Saturday, the signs should be down. There's still work to be done in the roundabout area. Power and Water has some work to do, but we are confident that with perhaps some traffic control flaggers out there, when they're doing their work, the road can continue to be open. That's the plan going forward, so it will be open.
Great. Well, you were predicting June 4th, so it'll be June 5. That's pretty good. Thank you.
No, tomorrow was the predicted date.
Oh, was it?
He's on track, he's on
Okay.
track.
Outstanding.
Thank you.
Randy, in all fairness, and I realize that this is a guess on your part, totally done.
What's that?
Totally
Acceptance.
done. I was out there today.
When will
It's a
it be
long ways
totally
from being totally done.
When will it be totally done?
Totally done?
All
Cedar Street?
landscaping, everything.
Well, I totally, if you mean all basically the construction, I can answer this different ways. It's not totally done until we do the audit and get our money from the feds. But for it to be totally done, accepted by the city council, I look for that to happen in July, perhaps the first part of August, but it's a summer project. There's not a lot left to be done out there.
Okay.
I know the traffic light on Cedar, it's Muscatine Power and Water. Do we know it's going to be flashing red till the school starts, or is that going to be changed?
No, it'll be changed. In fact, I believe that next week, Power and Water has technicians coming in to make the signal adjustments so that it can get on a regular mode. Yeah,
Thank you, Randy.
you're welcome.
Assuming that's it, council, we have a vote and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Item I is a review of the draft Muscom agreement. At this time, the city administrator will review the draft of the Muscom agreement.
Oh.
Or really, Greg,
Councilmember-
would you rather Phil or Tom?
Well, I'd just like to thank Councilmember Spread and Councilmember Fitzgerald for his work with County Supervisor Sorensen on getting today's draft presented for the council. Staff's recommendation is to proceed with the draft as recommended by Councilmember Fitzgerald. There's a couple minor additions and changes, nothing that is, I'll leave it at that. They're just a couple minor additions and changes, all acceptable to city staff, and we'd recommend approval.
And if you look, everyone has one at their desk. If you look through it, the most recent additions are in boldface black on page 2, 3, and the
Six.
last one was on 6. Okay, thank you, 6.
6.
Some of this was there's been so many different agreements bounced around. And after the four of us, Matt Bonebreak was the other city councilman, or excuse me, county board member that was at the negotiations meeting. And then we approved it that day. We made the changes, presented a finished document back to them. And let's just say the board had some additional questions. And we have answered those questions through Mr. Sorensen. And I basically took work off this afternoon to make sure this got finished up by tonight so that we could approve this. There's the additions they wanted to put in, like the standard for the P25. Muscom, or the Joint Communications Commission, had already approved that at an earlier meeting. That's the standard we were going to go with. There really isn't any major changes that would affect the city negatively.
Tom?
Well, I agree with Phil. You know, we spent 2.5 hours in a meeting, and I believe we came away with an understanding. And I'm going to give Phil a lot of credit. I was at the meeting, but Phil has done a ton of work outside that meeting to summarize this and respond to questions. I just want to say thanks. Did a good job.
Sami, you had something?
I just want to thank Tom and Phil again for this, and the Board of Supervisors for getting this. It's an important document here. This is public safety, and I don't think we need to fool around with it here and just sit on it for so long. So I'm glad it's done, and we're going to proceed with it. So it's a win-win for everybody. It's a win for the citizen of Muscatine as well as the county citizens. So good job, guys, and thank you.
Anyone else?
I would second or third the thanks. I know there's been a lot of heavy lifting and a lot of frustration, and thank you for doing it. successfully.
Bob?
I'm glad it's over with. Or
It's not just yet.
just starting.
We hope.
Okay.
And so I would personally move that the council accepts the document as presented.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0.
That was easy.
Okay, moving along to item 14, communication from council members. Councilman Raywalt
Nothing tonight, thank you.
and Councilman Fitzgerald.
I just want to thank Jeff Sorensen for his assistance, and I think the heavy lifting was on his end
Yeah, he did a great job.
more than my end and, or our end, and he did a great job, and I'm not sure. I didn't exchange many emails with Matt Bonebrake. There were, let's just say, numerous emails and phone calls with Jeff, so thank you, Jeff and Matt.
Osama?
I have nothing tonight. Thank you.
Bob?
Again, I'd like to thank the real people of the city council for their time and effort, and, of course, thank the board of supervisors for agreeing to what we think is fair and honest operation.
Tom?
I've said everything I can about this, so thanks,
great.
thanks for the opportunity.
Greg?
Just one item tonight, Your Honor. Coming around the table is a copy of the new community profile city staff put together in conjunction with Bi-State and the Chamber. It's on the city's website, and you'll have a digital version in your mailbox, of course, but that's the print version, and we hope to use that, and thought I'd give a copy.
Okay.
Very nice.
I too would like to thank Councilman Fitzgerald and Councilman Fred for the hard work that they put in, along with the County Board of Supervisors, the two individuals assigned the task of putting this agreement together. I think you all did a great job. I know things move forward at a pretty rapid pace now. Any other business, council? Is there a motion to
So
adjourn?
moved.
Meeting is adjourned.
Greg, I didn't realize this was, had been